Hello, Edson Oliveira here. Today we're going to be talking about DNNSummit, but more specifically about the business roundtable that will be taking place on the event as well. So I have Ryan Moore with me and I have Don Bishop as well. Guys, if anyone can come in and say what are your roles within the context of the business roundtable. Don, can you shine some light here?
Well, so I'm charged with organizing the business roundtable specifically. So I will be sort of the moderator at the actual event in Denver in January. And I'm also preparing a number of materials for that event to facilitate the discussion in the roundtable. It is designed to be a roundtable with lots of discussion.
Perfect. Ryan, what's your role in that?
With the DNN Summit, I volunteered to help head up the training sessions. And as those are both falling on the same day, they kind of run together, and to some extent, they involve a fair amount of organizational setup and time and day of the event setup and management. So myself and some of my crew will be helping run those things on that day.
Got it. Okay, so to get things started here, let's go with the basic information. First is that how much and how long? Don, if you can comment on that.
So the training day at Denver is the day before the actual event. The business roundtable just happens in the afternoon of the training day. So there are some training sessions that go all day. There's one training session that's only half a day in the morning, and the business roundtable will be half a day in the afternoon. And to tell you the truth, if I knew exactly how much it cost, I would tell you. And I'm hoping Ryan knows.
The business roundtable is, again, as Don said, designed as a half-day session. If you're coming into DNN Summit, come in half a day early and make sure you get into the hotel and to town in time, and you can come participate in the business roundtable. And as he also mentioned, there's one of the training sessions, which is kind of an introductory training session, and that one is half day. Then there's a break for lunch, and then the business roundtable picks up afterwards. As a half-day event, it's also lower cost. It's $50 to participate. But that also is, of course, to help encourage people to come and participate, but it's also not the same thing as sitting in a training session where you're going to be receiving information and receiving training and knowledge. You're coming to participate. So we want as many people as possible to get excited about coming in and participating in this half-day event. So it's offered at a discount compared to everything else.
Got it. Okay, so when I check the DNNSummit website and I look at the business roundtable, it talks about case studies. So is that how the session will flow? Is that through case studies? Who can comment on that?
Yeah, I can comment on that. So the idea behind the case studies are really to give us a springboard to additional discussion. So what I've been doing is so far I've interviewed a few different people who use DNN about the way they use DNN, and the idea is that we'll present those case studies sort of as summaries to kind of get people in the frame of mind of how different people use DNN and some of the issues that they face. And it's really a springboard to further discussion about some of the business aspects of using DNN.
Got it. So Don, you mentioned about how people use DNN, but are you talking about from a client perspective or from a solution provider perspective?
Well, really both. So I can give you some examples. So far, I've started to put together 3 different case studies, and one is a woman who's basically a one-person graphics company who has a client that needed a website, so she went out and got people to help her make that website for the company. Another one is a small association that has pretty much a one-person IT department, and he's responsible for 5 different websites that he sort of inherited over the years. And then another one is a larger company with an IT department, and they're responsible for up to 25 different websites at any point in time, and a lot of custom programming, but all around DNN. So yeah, we're looking at it from every standpoint of the different kinds of people that use DNN in different ways.
Okay, so and then someone will be presented, will be talking about the case study, and then it will be open for a kind of an open discussion after each case.
Right, right. That's exactly right. We'll present them. I'm hoping to present them maybe with videos from the people that are there. Some of the people that I'm talking to will actually be there, and they're all invited to be there to be part of the discussion. But they all bring up interesting points of view about DNN that we don't get to hear very often, and we certainly don't get to hear them in the technical discussions that we tend to have around DNN. So I think it will be a great springboard to discussions for other people to hear and comment on.
Got it. So who are you trying to attract to that session? What is the audience that you are looking for on that to participate on that session?
I was going to say, if I may, Anderson, to segue into this, but to tie off of what Don was saying there, one of the sparks that started up the idea of having a business roundtable at this DNN Summit was us all sitting around talking about what we love about being at conventions, about going to the previous DNN cons and the community events, and participating in things like here in the Charlotte area where we are, we help run and participate in the Southern Fried DNN user group. And we all shared that the community and sharing information and having those hallway conversations where we're all sharing tips and ideas and talking about hardships of running a business in today's world and how we use DNN to get ahead and do things easier, and how we all have very similar conflicts, very similar things that happen with clients, and very similar things from a technical standpoint. And it's that community of sharing and talking with everyone that energizes. It certainly does. It gets me excited when I'm at a convention. And we decided that we needed to have some type of platform to have that in a structured sense, because sometimes not everyone participates, not everyone gets involved in those conversations, and they're missing out. And to some extent, if you had a room with a blocked amount of time and you said, this is where we're going to have those conversations, it would encourage people to all show up and get energized and have those conversations. So to come back around to your question of who this is for, this is for everyone who runs a business, is part of a business, is using DNN to work with client websites, and they may have questions or ideas that have nothing to do with DNN, but everything to do with procedure and how they do their job every day, and what's their favorite chat tool, and how do they use this for invoicing. And it has the potential to have a lot of wide conversations that are all focused on what we all do every day.
Got it. One aspect, and again, here's just me giving my 2 cents. What I would like to see as part of the outcome of a session like that is that we could potentially establish a communication channel for more of the business-oriented individuals in the community. Because my feeling is that a lot of discussions that goes on the DNN communities, either on Facebook or even the forums, to a certain extent, they are restricted, and it's a tough word to say, but they are restricted to the technical aspects of DNN. The business seems to be relegated to takes the back seat always, and it's not always seen as an interesting conversation or a good conversation to put the business in the mix as well. So I think that we should somehow form a line of communication that, hey, it's okay to talk about business right here. This is the place that we can talk DNN and business as well. That's again my 2 cents, and something that I'd love to see happening in the DNN space as well. Any comments about that? What do you guys think?
Don, sorry to jump right in, but Addison, that's exactly what I love having those conversations with when I'm at conventions. Normally at DNN After Dark, it's loud, there's a lot of music, which is a ton of fun, but often I'm in a corner next to a table talking with someone with my hand over my ear to hear everyone in the music, and I'm saying, yeah, what do you use for project management? And, oh, we use Slack inside of our office, and we've cut down internal email, and we find that we're a lot more responsive to each other. What do you guys use for communication? We have a lot of just conversations where we're talking with people and finding out how they do things and what's successful for them, and that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good information to gain out of that.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And the other point I think here is that one of the reasons that this business roundtable is coming up now is that we're really seeing a completely new community organization that is making this DNN Summit happen. And the priorities of this new organization are expanded over what they were before. So I agree 100%, Addison, that this is a great opportunity for us to start that new channel of communications. And we don't know exactly what that channel of communications is, but this forum is definitely a reaction to that idea that we need to start having these discussions. It would be great if we had a more formalized way to have those discussions, and that will definitely be one of the things that we'll want to talk about at this roundtable and other times during the summit in January.
I'm gonna give another 2 cents here. See, I would also love to see a stronger ecosystem in general. And when I talk about ecosystem, I'm really focusing right now on that ecosystem word, on the providers, on the solution, on the providers of the ecosystem, like hosting providers, module providers, service providers, theme providers, designers. It would be interesting to have a place outside of the DNN store, because the DNN store has something that they call the Evoke approved. It would be something beyond that, because we see all the time people disappearing on us. Vendors that are no longer there. So we need to build. I think that we need to build a stronger sense of responsibility in the community, of vendors in the community, and recommend the people, the organizations that we trust and we value, that hey, they're here for the long run. You can count on their solutions, you can count on their themes, you can count on their modules, because they are not a fly-by operation. They are here to stay, they are here for the long run. So again, just sparking the conversation. I know that there are a lots of things that are up in the air right now, and this, more than just grabbing from you guys what is it and what is not, it's also suggestion and recommending and thoughts on top of my head.
Don, maybe talk a little bit about what happens after you do those case studies, because the format of the business roundtable at the moment isn't that it's going to be case studies in these conversations for the whole time. It kind of opens up, right, Don?
Well, yeah, we really want to have these kind of conversations among the people that are there, and there'll be lots of opportunities for anyone else to start the conversation. I mean, the case studies aren't the be all end all. The case studies are kind of, like I said, a catalyst to make stuff happen. So Ryan talks about the discussions of what tools do you use from a business standpoint? What kind of accounting, what kind of communications? Those are all great things. The case studies have also pointed up some issues around the same kind of ideas, where I was surprised in some of the interviews I've done so far that the yearning I heard among people for more information about the community. Generally, the people I talked to who were not people that are active in the community, because I consciously went outside of the people that you see at these events all the time, and they were universally sort of lamenting that it was hard to find information that they wanted about DNN, and they were really interested in figuring out how to learn more. And as one kept saying, he said, "But I just don't have the bandwidth to participate in everything that comes along. But I really want to be involved. I want to know what's going on, and I need a way to do that better."
Perfect. Okay. Now, are we gonna have any formal presence of DNN Corp there as well? Because I would love them not only to hear what's being talked about there, but firsthand, not based on a report out of the business roundtable. I'd love them to hear firsthand, and I'd love to hear them there as well. So, are they present? Are they not? Is that still under discussions? Who can tell me about that?
My expectation is that anyone who's going to be there is there as a community member. So far, it's not that there's an official chair at the podium, and they're going to be asked questions as though this is going to turn into a question session. It's more about the community participating together and having these conversations. So anybody that's going to be there that is corporate would be doing so as part of the community and as a member. At the previous DNN conference, since Joe Brinkman attended, and he wasn't there in an official capacity, he was there in an I Love DNN capacity, and even spoke and participated as part of that. So I think at the very least we can expect that they're going to be there and participating.
Okay, so as important it is knowing what will be discussed there, is also knowing what will not be discussed there. So, what is it that will not be discussed there, just so we have some ground rules that if people expect those themes, those topics to be discussed, it's not there.
So if anyone brings up AngularJS, I will cut them off, just so you know.
Oh, that's awful. I was going to pitch in and say that we had a very constructive Southern Fried DNN user group meeting this past session. And Will Stroll was speaking, and part of what he was doing was talking about optimizing and vetting modules and understanding good practices from bad practices. And while he was giving heat to module vendors to make sure that they follow the rules and they do establish good practices, he set a good ground rule that there was going to be no vendor bashing. And I think that's a good spirit that will be picked up as part of the business roundtable, but then as well everything inside of DNNSummit. You're here to offer creative criticism and to talk about things, but vendor bashing and things where you get very negative about things might be discussed, but the purpose is to then talk about alternatives, talk about solutions. We're here as a community and as a group to foster people working together and helping each other. So that might be one part of it to describe.
Okay.
And I think we the intention is to talk about business aspects and not the technical aspects of how do you do this in DNN, that sort of thing. But I don't think that precludes us from having a discussion about outsourcing. How do you find a good partner? How do you vet a developer that you might want to hire? How do you know which modules or module companies you can trust or not trust? Those kinds of things, not from a bashing point of view, but Addison, you brought up the idea of sort of authorized modules or whatever grading for module developers and that sort of thing, and that's a fascinating topic and one that we've talked about within the organization here, and that's a topic that needs to be pursued. I don't know what the answer is, and it's certainly not an easy thing to do, but it could be incredibly valuable, and just because it's not easy doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Very true, very true. Unfortunately, I will not be joining the session because I have the full day training, so it's very unfortunate that I won't be able to be in the session. But if this question goes straight to one of you, let's start with you, Ryan. If there's one, if you were supposed to pick one and one only thing that someone should go to the session and will get out of that session with that one thing, what is that one thing that people should expect to get out of this session? You know, Don, keep thinking, Don. I mean, you're next, okay? I put Ryan in the spot right now, you know.
No problem. You know, it might not be the answer you were looking for, but if somebody's expecting something, well, okay, I can answer. So if they're looking for something to get out of this session, they should get out of it connection with the community, a feeling of camaraderie, and more specifically, when they come, they should come ready to ask questions or talk about topics that have been a stumbling block for them in the past or a good success story for them to share, and they should bring their thoughts and their comments and their questions to the business roundtable and expect to jump in there and participate. So it's more about coming ready and excited about participating, and then knowing that when you leave, you're going to be energized and pumped up with not only excitement about what you do every day, but also the excitement that you've gotten from everyone else and what they do every day.
Perfect. I can live with that. Don, your turn.
Well, I think I mean what Ryan said is exactly right. I think one of the things that people will get from this event to some extent is everyone wants to understand kind of where they fit into this whole world. And people want to understand, is what I'm doing, the tools that I'm using, am I unique? Are there other people that have problems similar to mine? I have to do this all myself, or I don't know how to do this, or whatever. And I think just that sort of shared community of learning how other people do things, and that you're not totally alone. There's other people facing some of the same kinds of issues. And successes and failures of other people, and I think that's incredibly valuable, and that's one of the things that we see out of the community in general.
Perfect.
One of the questions that I'm going to bring myself participating, I'll be running around during the day doing things, but by that afternoon period, I expect that I should be able to slow down enough to sit down and participate. One of the questions that I'm bringing this year, at the same time as I'm also bringing my answer to share with everyone, is the question that I get asked by clients or a new marketing director that suddenly comes in at a client location and they say, "Oh, you're using DNN. Why aren't we using WordPress?" And so I'm going to ask people, how do you answer whenever a new client or a new person comes in and says, "Oh, why aren't you using WordPress for this XYZ solution?" So I'll bring a few of my answers and things that I've written to share with folks, and I'm looking forward to what other people bring.
On that same line, Ryan, I get asked all the time, at least once a week, let me tell you, is this CMS better than that CMS, better than that CMS? I mean, which CMS is the best one? Is that WordPress, DNN? And then I have my own answer, which I won't share here. Well, I should, I guess. I guess it.
We'll take your question. We'll take your answers. We'll bring it over into the roundtable. We'll read it off.
I'm gonna put the questions the answers offline. But yes, I have my answer to that. But I don't think it's a very satisfying answer in any case. But it's those are the kinds of discussions that I guess that we are hoping to achieve with the business roundtable. So I'm done with my questions here. I'm done with my topics. Anything that we have not discussed that you think that it's appropriate, it's the time? I mean, you have more info about that. I mean, Don, let's start with you. Anything else that you want to add to the conversation?
Well, the one piece of new information that we just got within the last week is that signups for this event have been pretty strong, and I think we have 25 people in the pre-registration already, so that's very encouraging to me. And as we get the word out there a little more, and as more people get involved with coming to the event, hopefully this first of many business roundtables will be well attended.
Ryan, any last words?
No, again, everyone watching, think about your questions, think about the things you want to hear answers to, and think about the things you want to share, and bring them with you to the business roundtable.
Perfect. So Don, I mean,
just one other thing that I forgot. We will be. I'm working on a little survey and some other opportunities that we're going to create for people to be able to ask questions in advance online. So we're going to be encouraging people to think about this prior to the event, and even if they're not coming and want to put some questions in there, we'll make sure that we discuss some of those issues and hopefully disseminate some information afterwards to anyone who asked a question before or everyone that was actually at the event. So this is hopefully the beginning of some kind of ongoing communication process. So I encourage people to watch out for that and stay involved.
What excites me with this part of the round table is the fact that finally we are bringing not only the technical aspects of DNN into light on the DNN Summit or the other DNN events, but we are taking care of the business side of things as well. So again, I think that's very positive, and it should attract another type of audience to the DNN event, to the DNN Summit as well. It should attract that side that is not technical, but hey, they are well invested in the success of DNN as well, not from a technical standpoint so much, but from a business standpoint. So again, very exciting that fact alone. Okay, perfect. So guys, thank you very much, Ryan, Don. I'm hoping that we can hear more as we go along. We are still a few months away from the event, and it's great to have already over 20 people sign up, and that will only increase over time. So again, I'm really, really positive on that. So again, thank you very much, and talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you. See you at Summit.